Well, the Prime Minister's told the mining industry face-to-face that they don't own Australia's mineral wealth, and they have to be prepared to share more of their profits with the rest of the population. Her frank challenge to the industry tonight came as the opposition leader told mining bosses that she'd caved into union pressure to water down a deal to allow foreign labourers to build new mines. Political correspondent Tom Eagleton has more from Canberra.
The Prime Minister's message to powerful mining bosses was a frank one.
I know that not all of you in this room are in love with the language of spreading the benefits of the boom.
She told them ordinary Australians did appreciate their hard work and the big profits their businesses brought to the economic table.
But I know this too. They work pretty hard in car factories and panel beaters and in police stations and hospitals. And here's the rub. You don't own the minerals, they own it, and they deserve their share.
The Prime Minister made just the briefest mention of her controversial plan to allow mining companies to import foreign workers to help build new mines.
So while for projects where there's a real need for some temporary overseas workers, we will support that, we will join with you in making sure our first priority is to secure jobs and training for Australian workers.
That was in marked contrast to Tony Abbott's speech earlier in the day, which noted a new caucus subcommittee's been formed to oversee future agreements.
The unions spooked the Prime Minister, and now the caucus has rolled the Cabinet on these matters. You can be absolutely confident that as time goes by, these enterprise migration agreements will be more difficult to negotiate.
Of the two speeches, Tony Abbott's probably went down better with the mining bosses, while Julia Gillard's was aimed more at the ears of blue-collar voters, especially at a time when she's trying to move on from the Craig Thomson issue. There's been some unexpected news on that front tonight too. The tabloid television program that recorded an interview with a former prostitute about Craig Thomson's backed off from airing it this week. Instead, it's handed it and a statutory declaration she made over to Victorian Police. We now await the outcome of the police investigation before pursuing the story any further, a statement tonight says. I'm glad to see people are starting to respect due process, Mr Thomson tweeted in response. The now independent MP was involved in an unusual parliamentary process earlier today. The day's business began in the usual way.
Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to vouchsafe thy blessing upon this parliament.
But trouble began when just a few minutes into the session, the Shadow Treasurer moved a motion
Will you shut up?
and the government moved to gag him.
Noes have a division required. Ring the bells.
Craig Thomson then sat in the opposition benches to cast his vote against his former colleagues.
Lock the doors.
Tony Abbott and Christopher Pyne noticed just seconds before the vote was to be counted.
He said, we're out of here. You know.
Mr Pyne made it out. The Speaker cut off Tony Abbott's bolt for the doors.
No! Lock the doors. Too late. No way. Not on.
The reason for the hasty exit, the Coalition says Craig Thomson's vote is tainted.
We will absent one of our members whenever Craig Thomson chooses to vote for us.
And the opposition accused the government of orchestrating a stunt with its former member.
Because journalists had been alerted in advance that this was about to take place.
Either way, it provided another wacky moment in what's already been an extraordinary year in the chamber. Tom Eagleton, Late Line.